Rest of the story. Thomas Jefferson called him the wisest man of his generation. Patrick Henry called him the greatest statesman I ever knew. He was one of George Washington's oldest, closest friends. In fact, if you'd taken a popularity poll among the patriots of our American Revolution, this one gentleman would probably have received as many votes as any. The Patriot's Patriot was born in Fairfax County, Virginia, became a member of the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1759. He was the author of the so-called Fairfax Resolves, which called for the establishment of a colonial congress and a trade boycott against England. Can you guess who this man is? I'm betting you can't. Though he drafted our first Bill of Rights. This was the Virginia Declaration of Rights, a notable part of the 1776 Virginia Constitution. It begins, all men are by nature equally free and independent, have certain inherent rights of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot by any compact deprive or divest their posterity, namely the enjoyment of life and liberty, which means acquiring and possessing property, pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. These were concepts which generations of patriots to come would cherish, and they began with this one man. All power is vested in and consequently derived from the people, he said. 12 years prior to the Bill of Rights, for which James Madison would claim credit, the Patriot's Patriot in his Virginia Declaration of Rights wrote, excessive bail ought not be required. He was a statesman in the most profound sense of the term. Nothing came before his country's welfare. He was among the 5 most frequent speakers in the debates at Philadelphia. One has but to pursue Madison's notes on the Federal Constitution Convention to recognize the impact of this Patriot's Patriot on that assembly. During the last 2 weeks of the convention, he withheld his signature from our Constitution. Not only was he holding out for a Bill of Rights, he was protesting, he was objecting to the extensive and yet vague powers given Congress. He was resisting the North-South slavery compromise. The slave trade, he insisted, was disgraceful to mankind, and he was determined that all Americans share in the liberty on which the new ism was founded. And you have not yet guessed who he was. No, you haven't. He was the wisest man of his generation, according to Thomas Jefferson. He was the greatest statesman that Patrick Henry ever knew, according to Patrick Henry. He drafted our first Bill of Rights. Yet somehow his accomplishments have been overlooked, and his name remained in obscurity. Finally, in 1981, the United States Postal Service did honor him with an 18-cent stamp, with only his portrait and his name, George Mason. 4.5 minutes ago, you might have seen that stamp and asked, George who? Well, now you know the rest of the story.